Hey, what's poppin', gamers? So I saw the new Spooder Guy movie. Saw it quite a while ago, actually. No Way Home, and I thought I might as well share some of my thoughts with it because I have quite a few. I will be going into spoilers pretty soon, but I guess I'll just say my general thoughts. I really, really liked this movie. I thought it was just super fun and entertaining from start to finish, and yeah, I guess that's it for my spoiler-free thoughts. So, if you haven't seen the movie, you probably have by now, but just in case, you should probably go see it. So, No Way Home is directed by John Watts. It's the third installment of the Home trilogy that's been part of the MCU following Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And basically, this is a movie where Peter kind of messes up. He has his identity revealed to the entire world, and his life's kind of gone down the drain a bit, and it's impacting his and his friends' futures. So he decided, you know what, I'm gonna go to Doctor Strange and hopefully he can try to fix this. But in doing so, that kind of leads to the entire multiverse collapsing, and now we got villains and other guys back from the other Spider-Man universes. And yeah, you could say that it's a lot of fan service. There is a lot of fan service in this movie, but I think how this movie is able to handle all the returning characters from previous movies is one of its biggest strengths, in my opinion. I think it does a really good job at respecting the other movies. It also pokes fun at some of the weaker movies, like the TASM 2. But I think for the most part, it handles everything with respect, and it feels like all of the returning actors just slid right back to their roles, and in some cases even improved upon how they were in their original movies. I think Electro is a lot better in this movie. He acts a lot different than he did in TASM 2, but I think his design looks a lot cooler, and Jamie Foxx seems to be having a lot more fun this time, so I ended up enjoying it more. And also, Willem Dafoe is he's incredible, once again, as the Green Goblin. And well, in the original Spider-Man, I thought he was playing more of like a kind of over-the-top campy villain. I think in this movie, he kind of outdoes himself and ends up feeling like a real threat, and he's super sinister. So he's probably the standout performance as far as villains go. And Alfred Molina also does a great job coming back as Doc Ock. Lizard and Sandman, I enjoyed them both being there. They did feel like they weren't as used as much as the other villains, but I'm not sure I'd really consider that a negative, because this movie has a lot that it's trying to balance. But I will say that in some shots, the CGI for Lizard looked a little wonky. Like, it did look kind of weaker than it did in his original movie, in the first Amazing Spider-Man. But I still enjoyed them being in the movie. I think all the villains were pretty well handled for the most part. And I guess that brings us to the other two characters who are returning from their previous franchises, Toby Mcguire and Andrew Garfield. And I think they both did amazingly. They slid right back into their roles, and Mcguire, it felt like just a natural continuation of where he left off at the end of his movie. And he definitely took on, I guess, some more wise, kind of experienced Spider-Man. He's probably been through the most. And Andrew Garfield, I actually really liked what they did with his character. It kind of shows that he went down a more darker path since the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I think it's a big improvement on how Andrew Garfield was handled in his own solo movies. And, you know, with good writing, I really wouldn't mind seeing more movies with him. He does get a really big payoff when he, saves MJ. It's probably one of the most talked about moments in the movie. And yeah, it's really cool. It's really well executed. All the characters that are part of the Tom Holland universe, like, MJ and Ned, I think they all do a great job in Aunt May. And I thought her death scene was really well handled and impactful. And I think that was pretty much the perfect point to drop the great power, great responsibility line. It basically makes it clear that this entire trilogy has been Tom Holland's kind of origin, from being like just younger and inexperienced to being the more responsible Spider-Man that people know and love. And I think for that, I really like what they did with this trilogy overall. I guess I'll just say that from like a filmmaking, like directing standpoint, I wouldn't like quite put this on par with the Sam Raimi movies, but at the same time, I think John Watts really improves upon what he did with the first two MCU Spider-Man movies. I like some of the long takes that were in the movie, and I think overall just the visuals and cinematography was probably a big improvement over most MCU movies. All the action in this movie was great, I think. Standouts for me would be just the Doctor Strange fight near the beginning, because it was super like visually stunning, kind of Inception kind of visuals. Looked pretty cool. And also both of the fights with the Green Goblin, the one apartment fight and the ending fight, I thought those were both like pretty heavy for MCU Spider-Man fights. I was pretty surprised by like how hard those fights went. They were really cool. I think just this movie in general was really well paced. It handled its emotional beats really strongly, I think. And I think it does a good job at closing out this chapter of Tom Holland's story and kind of completing his first arc. I also want to shout out Michael Giacchino, who's is that how you pronounce it? Yeah, I think so. I want to shout out his score for the movie because I thought it was easily my favorite MCU score. I think it did a great job at enhancing like the emotions of the scenes and everything. Yeah, I think that's about all I wanted to say. I really like this movie. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Spider-Man movie. And I guess if I had to critique it, I'd say that the inciting incident could have been handled a little better. I thought it seemed a little out of character for Doctor Strange to, I guess, not tell Peter the implications of this memory wipe spell before he casted it. I think that would have saved a lot of trouble that ended up happening. And there is a lot of like just magic stuff that you kind of just have to not think about too hard. But I think the emotions they're able to pull out of it makes it all worth it. And the ending, it leaves off on a pretty like somber note, I think. It's kind of bittersweet. But overall, yeah, I really dug this movie. Definitely can't wait to watch it again. For a rating, I think I'd go with a 4.5 out of 5. Yeah, pretty good movie in my opinion. If you've seen it, I'd like to hear your thoughts. And yeah, thanks for watching. Good night.